there. Good morning, everybody. Happy day 3. This has been a really fantastic couple of days, and I've learned so much from our amazing speaker lineup, and it's been a pleasure talking to and getting to know so many of you guys being experts in the field. So I just want to thank Media Post for putting on this fantastic event, and also thank you for inviting me to speak here today. All right. So, my name is Alyssa Kramer. I work for a company called UPMC, which stands for University of Pittsburgh Medical Center. We're a $19 billion corporation that is both a hospital provider and an insurance provider, and we're based in Pittsburgh, PA. And my role is I work on a creative team within the organization, and I oversee all of our in-house video production and photography. So I feel like I need to give a little disclaimer. Steve already told you that I'm coming at you today from a content creative side. So I'm a creative and not so much on the media side like all of you are. So I feel like a slight imposter here. But like I said, first and foremost, I'm a creative. I have a master's degree in media production, and my day-to-day responsibilities have included anything from concept creation to script writing to storyboarding to actually shooting, directing, hiring talent, you name it, budget management. We do everything from that to editing, packaging up, and then we typically hand it over to the media team and then, never hear or see from it again. So as my role has evolved, over the past 5 years that I've been there, it has changed from being this more like boots on the ground content creator and shifting more into, I've built out a small team, so now I manage a team of content creators, and my responsibilities have shifted into more of the higher level strategic planning, and now dipping my toes into this media buying and planning industry. So my goal today is to share with you my perspective as a creator and how I've learned and how I'm still learning to be more strategic in developing video content based on what I'm learning from the media side. I feel like this is like a little laser, I can point at that. So a little bit about my company so you can understand the industry that I work for and the type of products and services that we sell. UPMC is this, like I said, big corporation. We have a hospital system, and then we have insurance. And it's broken down into divisions, and one of those is health insurance, and that's the side that I'm on. So we have we're almost at 3.5 million members. We have 5,600 employees. We're the largest medical insurer in Western Pennsylvania, and we are rapidly expanding across the state into central PA and into Philly, and we're shifting into New York and I think Ohio. And so that's the breakdown of my company. And then this is a quick org chart, and I'm just explaining this so you can get a sense of, even though we're health insurance, we have all these different products and lines of business that fall within the health plan. So we have government products like SNP, CHIP, Medicaid, Medicare. We have the commercial side of things, which is what you think of typically when you think of health insurance. It's like individual family plans, vision care, dental care. And then we have an entire workforce productivity side of things, and we offer products that integrate, employee productivity, employee wellness. We have an HR software company called eBenefits. So all of these different companies and lines of business, my team services. So in that sense, we function sort of like an in-house agency. So that's great, right? But who cares? Because today we're here to talk about video. So we've been producing our own video content in-house for the past 5 years, and most everything that comes out of our most everything that comes out of our digital advertising comes from our team. We rarely outsource our content creation, and we have built the team out in a way that aims to integrate storytelling with specific ad placement. So as we grow, we're trying to keep this concept in mind and structure it in a way that caters to that. So we also work with an outside agency who is primarily responsible for our media buying and planning, but at the end of the day, we manage our budget, we make the final strategic decisions, and work alongside them. And we are all digital, so just to be clear, I don't do anything with broadcast or TV or anything like that. We're a digital team, and we utilize a wide variety of platforms like OTT, pre-roll, YouTube, paid social, connected TV, probably a lot more that I'm forgetting. And because we're a digital team, we work with a ton of clients who don't understand the digital space and are even more skeptical of video. So we get a lot of questions like this, where like it's super simple, right? So I can't even tell you how many times I've been meeting with clients. Like it's more often than you would think, where we're going over their objectives and their audience and their goals. And I ask them, do you have a specific concept in mind? Are you looking for a specific type of video? And they'll be like, well, we were just thinking you can make us a viral video. And we're like, okay, do you want like 5 million views or 10 million views? Like, what would you like? And so we always get a kick out of this, but at the same time, it's a reminder to us, it's like a reality check that we have to constantly educate our clients on what it is that we do and also what it is that video marketing is. And video marketing, I think a lot of people, they're like, it's viral videos, but it can be, sure, but that's really not what it is. And I'll get into this a little bit later, but that's where creative partnering with media can help me there because it helps justify what video marketing actually is. So while we don't necessarily specialize in viral video making, we do tons of different types of concepts, anything from testimonials, narrative, instructional, demo, social media, pretty much every type of video I'm confident that we've produced. Like I said, our creative approach starts with the client. We talk to them about their objectives, their goals, what they're selling. We get to know their product. We consider the audience, where the video is going to live. Should it be optimized for mobile, for desktop, or for both? So these are the questions that we ask, and I believe that they're the right questions. But the problem is that with the gap that we have sometimes with the media side, we're not totally sure if we're right here. We're just kind of guessing. So we're not positive if the approach that we're taking is correct. And what we do know is that the digital advertising world is spread across a variety of platforms. And in this landscape, content has to take on many different forms. So that could be a long-form video series. It could be a 6-second pre-roll. It could be interactive media like a GIF or stop motion or just basic branding content. Each media form brings a different mix of engagement and shareability, and we need to consider customizing how we create the content for each platform and each channel. So some examples of how we've done this. We understand that users engage with videos across screens, right? So whether that's a 360-degree video ad placement, which when we were trying to leverage this emerging platform when this was a thing, and it required us to basically take what we knew about storytelling and video creation and throw it out the window and start from scratch. And it was honestly like a nightmare, and I hope 360 never comes back or it goes away forever, but it was a big challenge to us, and it was us trying to stay trendy and current with what users were looking at and what was happening out in the field. So whether it's that or whether it's optimizing an app that we know our younger audience is highly engaged with, like Snapchat, and trying to design content specifically geared for that, filming in a vertical format instead of horizontal, using stop motion GIF animation as opposed to video, or if it's just optimizing a video content for Facebook. So designing concepts that can be watched with or without audio. So whether it's any of these concepts or any other type of concept, we have seen the need for a greater connection between the media placement and the way that we make the creative. Which brings, this question that I think that all of us ask us on a regular basis. Which comes first, the media or the creative? I had a professor of photography teach me once. He said that the worst way to approach photography is to go out and take 5,000 pictures and just hope that statistically something's going to turn out. If you take 5,000 pictures, you're going to be able to salvage like 5 to 10, right? You'll have something to deliver to the client. But that photographer is not going to make much money, and they're not going to be very successful or very talented. So what you need to learn to do is to shoot with purpose. Have a plan, know what you want, go out and shoot 50 really good pictures, and then choose 3 really, really good pictures to deliver, and that's the photographer that's going to be successful. So at the end of the day, it should be quality over quantity. And I think the same thought process should apply to a creative team in the advertising industry. Effective video content strategy shouldn't necessarily be about volume, but it should be about precision. And I stand up here and say this to you, but I'm like a hypocrite because this is what I believe to be true, but at the end of the day, it's difficult to implement this into a business. I mean, nobody has time. And we work with our ad agency, but we're located in separate buildings. So in order for us to merge our industries, we have to really make effort. And in the day-to-day, you get lost in that. So a lot of times we have no choice but to go with that former approach and just go out and shoot an overabundance in footage, come back and just hope that we can cut it up to fit whatever platform they decide to use. And that has saved us in a pinch, and it can work, but can it be better? I think it can. So I would argue that generally speaking, when you can, it's worth the effort to take the smarter approach, which is to learn what works and what doesn't work from what your media team is telling you, and then rather than creating it and trying to fit it into placements. And to me, that is where the actual power of media creative is. So I'm going to get into 2 case studies. And I chose these case studies because they were relatively recent. We did these this past fall, both of these campaigns. And just learning what I learned, taking the effort to sit down with our ad agency and the media team and going over the results, how influential it was from a creative standpoint to know these results. And so that's why I wanted to share this with you today, how just 2 campaigns was really influential in how I approach creative. So this first campaign was B2B lead generation. It's for a company called eBenefits, which is a human resources platform software that we sell. And our target audience were decision makers, HR managers, influencing employees. It ran for about 2 months. It was programmatic and pre-roll placement on our agency's DSP network. It was brand awareness and exposure. That was our goal going into this. We had no idea, like we weren't looking for leads. We were just looking for exposure and brand awareness and relying on other tactics to deliver leads. This video had a call to action at the, or I'm sorry, there are 2 concepts. One of the videos had a call to action at the end, and the other didn't, but both videos linked to a site for them to encourage them to fill out a form for a free demo. So I'm going to show you these really quick. They're short videos. This is the first concept.
Your employees have a lot on their plate and a lot to balance. They have places to go, people to meet, and people to care for. That's why offering them an innovative benefits enrollment tool that's easy to use and provides decision-making support is a smart move. And when you can see instant reporting, communicate in real time, and more easily manage benefits administration, it's an even better time to have a seat at the HR table. Hi, we're eBenefits.
And here's the second one. Okay, so these were our results, and what immediately stood out to me and to our team and to the ad, I mean, we were all kind of shocked at this, actually. What we went into intending to be an awareness and exposure campaign became a lead-generating campaign. And it may not seem like a lot, but 25 leads is actually 25 companies. So 1 lead could equal 1,000 people. And this was just shocking to us because it wasn't our initial plan, but in general, we don't look at video typically as a lead generating revenue, like direct revenue generating tactic. It's more for us like a top funnel. So that was really shocking to us, and that's a really big deal to know that video marketing can actually be more of a lower funnel tactic that we can use. The other thing that's worth noting is that the concepts were relatively different. One was a more straightforward, almost demo approach, and the other was a little bit more abstract, like a little silly, like borderline funny. And pairing those 2 together to see how they performed was really interesting too, because I would always like to think like a funnier, sillier concept would win, but in this case, it wasn't. It was a more direct and like almost demo approach. So that's really good for us to know from a creative standpoint, because when we're developing content, we're just like, let's create the most fun one. But that's not always the best approach to do it. Sometimes you need to be more strategic. And if this is the audience that responds to direct, then that's something you need to consider when you're creating content. And so if we do campaigns similar to this in the future with a similar audience, then we would keep this in mind. So the main takeaway from this case study for me and my team was to consider the concept and catering that to what the audience wants, and also understanding that video can be an effective way to generate leads. So the second case study I'm going to go over was an educational campaign. It was for something called short-term plans, which just real quick, a short-term plan was released by the government this past fall, and basically they had a really appealing sticker price, and they're appealing to younger audiences and like millennials, trying to get them to switch out of their main plan, pay for these low premiums, but have very minimal coverage. And the minimal coverage part was like really fine print. So our company decided not to sell these plans, but we were fearful that we would lose this younger audience to these short-term plans. So we were asked to create an educational campaign, a series of videos that would appeal to a younger audience and tell them like, hey, it's cool if you want to switch. This is what a short-term plan is. This is what it covers, or this is what it does and does not cover. We want you to be sure of this because we care about you as our member, and we also don't want to lose your business. So we created 3 concepts, targeted the 18 to 35. It ran for about 6 weeks. All 3 concepts did pre-roll, programmatic. We did some paid social, I think. Again, educational awareness. The videos directly linked to a website of all resources, and they weren't resources we wrote. They were resources that we pulled from reputable sources. So it wasn't like us just trying to trick them, So our goal was just to have them complete the video, click through, and go to this website and read more. And I'm going to show you those 3 concepts real quick.
There are some areas where short-term fixes fall short. And short-term insurance plans may not always cover what you think they do. Low-cost short-term plans may not cover essential health benefits like screenings, behavioral health, and more, leaving your coverage stretched thin. Be sure to sign up for a plan that covers what you need it to. Sign up for complete coverage from UPMC Health Plan.
Second one.
A great deal on the outside can quickly turn into a bad bargain when important parts that should be included cost extra and expenses start adding up. Don't be fooled by a nice sticker price and deceiving monthly premium. With short-term insurance plans, you could be paying for essential health benefits and prescription drug costs out of pocket. Avoid limited coverage from a short-term insurance plan. Sign up for complete coverage from UPMC Health Plan.
And then the last one.
There are some things short-term insurance plans may not cover, like celebrations.
I'm pregnant! Oh! Where is the ketchup?
Cravings. New pants. Patience. Or confidence.
Do I have this?
Even essentials like vitamins or screenings. Short-term plans may not cover essential health benefits. We do. Sign up for complete maternity coverage from UPMC Health Plan.
The biggest surprise out of these results was that they let us get away with borderline swearing. So all 3 concepts, the first thing I noticed when I looked at the results here were that all 3 concepts relatively performed the same. But I was also considering how we were measuring success. So based on how we were measuring success, which was to me, watching this video to completion, clicking through and viewing the web page with more resources. Because to us, a potential member or current member doing that is more likely to be, interested in learning why short-term plans are a bad choice, which means they're closer to staying with us. And the third concept to me was the winner because it had the highest click-through rate. The first video had a lot more impressions, but still percentage-wise, the third concept did better with the click-through and also completed video views. But again, minimal. Another thing to note that's interesting is, again, the concept. And all of these concepts were slightly sillier and a little bit lighter, but they were still all different. And one thing that stood out to me is that the third concept that I'm pegging as the winner here was by far and away the highest production value. It took us 12 hours to film, weeks and weeks to plan. We hired talent. It was I want to say $15,000 to $20,000 more than the other 2 costs to produce. The other 2 were one I filmed at my house, and it took 2 hours, So by no means am I suggesting that higher production value always equals success, but in this case, it's worth looking into. It's worth asking. It's a question, I think, to consider when you're looking at results from your concepts. And the last thing that did stand out to me, which I'll get into in my next slide, was how audio performance was so low. So little people watch these concepts with audio. Speaking of, all the campaigns that we did, or both of these campaigns that I'm going over, the audio was so low. And this like made our jaws drop. And I don't know if we're just way behind the times. It's no secret that audio is going away with social media, and we've known that for a while. And we've optimized our content for social media in a way that can be viewed with or without audio. We use captions, or we design concepts that just don't need it. But we didn't realize this was happening on other platforms. And I'm not sure exactly where these videos went out. I just know they were on our DSP network. But we didn't know this. And I wouldn't have known this if I didn't meet with my media team and get these results. And this is really important from a creative person's standpoint, because we're spending, you have only so many tools when you're creating a concept, right? You have visual and you have audio. And without the audio, you're losing like 50% of your tools to work with. And if your team is spending all this money on writing these, motivational scripts and hiring voiceover actors and spending money to get that produced and licensing music and doing music mixes and paying for all this, that's a lot of time and money spent. And if people aren't watching, then what are we doing? That's a giant waste of time for everybody. So I definitely understand that these are only 2 small case studies and that this doesn't necessarily apply across the board, but this was very alarming to us, and this is something that we are noting to pay very close attention to going forward. And then another commonality between the 2 campaigns, which was also very strange to me, tablets, we always assume that desktop is where the action happens and mobile is where viewing happens, but according to these results, tablet is where action happened and desktop is where the completion happened, and mobile was actually the lowest performing. Again, could be an anomaly. These are just 2 case studies. We didn't have like millions and millions of impressions, so I'm not taking this to heart just yet, but it's just another thing to consider. Maybe we need to be customizing our content even more specifically for tablet or for mobile or for desktop. So just to wrap up, a few key takeaways I have. Media planning can help you build a better business case for video. And this takes me back to talking about viral videos with clients. And I also think Colleen from EA talked on Monday about how we're all experts in the field. We know what we're doing. We can make decisions based on intuition and intrinsic decisions. But that's not enough to show clients or to show your employer to justify for a new job. You have to be able to monetize video or measure its success. And when I'm explaining to clients why we can't just make them a viral video and why you don't even want that anyway, it helps me when I can say that and justify it with numbers. You want to align with the user journey, find out what they're doing on what devices and how they're reacting and what kind of content they're listening to. Do they like audio? Do they not like audio? Also noting that video can be a cost-effective lead generator, and maybe that's something to shift focus on. Track results. I don't remember why I put that, but track your results. Possibly goodbye forever to audio, but maybe not, hopefully not. That would be so sad for me. But, and then last but not least, loop in your creative team. We want to know what you guys are doing. We don't want to take your jobs, we just want to understand them so we can figure out how to work better. When I first started this conference, I thought it'd be really funny to keep track of all the acronyms that I hear. And I literally lost count. I don't even know. There was I've got GRP, TRP, CTR, VTR, KPI, DAP. I lost count of them. So it's a confusing language for a creative team to speak, but it helps to start those conversations and to learn your language. So when your creative team is able to speak the language that you guys speak, we can be more strategic in concepting, which will hopefully lead to more effective video content, and that's beneficial to both parties. So that's all I have today, and thank you so much.
Thank you. We have time for questions. Anybody have questions for this?
Hi, Rebecca Kaplan with Cox Media. I love the ketchup on the banana. That was a banana, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, okay. So you said you are responsible purely for the digital side. So yes. Do you partner with your linear production team? Because a lot of those spots seem like they would play well on linear television as well.
You would think, yeah. And that may be something that is happening down the line. Right now, we're very separate. I think that we should be a little bit more merged than we are. But for whatever reason, we're entirely 2 different entities. If that answers your question. I wish we merged a little bit more.
Was any of this running across OTT? Or was it all online?
I think it was all online, although I was told that some of that could have gone into OTT, but I think it was just our DSP network.
And there was no there was no format differentiation across mobile, tablet?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay.
Hi, how you doing? It's Josh Martin. I was just wondering if you looked at the videos that had the strong completion rates and correlated that back to the audio.
I mean, that's definitely something we're considering. Do you mean like the lower the audio, the less the completion rate?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like we typically see stronger video completion rates, audio picks up a bit. Still low overall though.
Right. I mean, that's something to look into for sure. It makes a lot of sense. I think I'm still just getting over the shock that no one's listening to audio at all. But yeah.
Actually, I want to extend Alyssa's point to everybody and ask if others of you can confirm the kinds of metrics that she was seeing. Are we seeing that low a use of audio generally? Nods. Anybody want to speak to it?
There's one thing. Maybe you'll find it interesting. I don't know. But I had seen a study which I thought was fascinating. It was more on the linear side, but I would have to believe it's true. Because we all live in such a world of multitasking, if you don't get the audio has to be super compelling or for the first like 5 seconds, or no one's even going to look up. So I think that's something to sort of, we would just, sorry, I'm outing you guys too, but we were just like, because your presentation was great, and we were just talking about how silos still exist. And it's a miss because they need to certainly work together. I think the flip is probably true on the digital video side, because if the visual isn't compelling, you may never turn the sound on. So right. I don't know how you marry the two. But the audio, I don't know that audio is dead. And then there's some research that I've seen recently that radio is on the rise. So
it would be interesting to oh yeah, go ahead.
I want to add to. I'm in your field. I'm similar. I'm a producer, and I think a lot of it has to do on the audio side with the placement, and especially what the platforms are allowing now. Because yeah, if it's something in stream, then people aren't turning their audio on. But you know, now you can do in video too. And if you're in a platform where videos or where audio is already on, then it works there. So I do think you have to then customize your final executions to align with the placement, which is really important. But we have found a lot of success with audio based on the placement, and I agree, radio, we're in Southern California though, radio has continued to be on the rise. Like radio's not dead, podcasting is hot, so there's a lot still that we've found successes with audio. Now, something like Facebook where people are in stream, yeah, the completion rate is entirely different, we've seen.
Unless the visuals are super compelling.
Yes. And that's where budget comes in.
The visual will prompt the audio?
Yeah, and also, you notice now that...
Yeah, use this.
I don't need that, do I? You notice now that there's a lot of subtitles, right?
Yeah.
That try to bring you in, so they're sort of covering all bases.
It'll be interesting as we see, especially in OTT, as we see a lot of these formats migrate into digital driven TV, how much of our online digital habits will also migrate, and we'll start interacting with the big screen in ways that are so familiar with handhelds and with desktop. I mean, I'm already in the habit of hitting the mute button a lot more than I ever did years ago with TV, and part of it is migrating some of my own digital habits into the big screen as they start feeling as a consumer like they're merging. So.
I feel like you rewind because
yeah.
My head's now on my mobile device, and I look up and I go, shit, I missed like half of that. I gotta go back. What happened on this stuff?
Or rewinding radio.
That's right.
Live radio. I'm like, oh, back. Oh, shoot. I can't go back. Yeah.
Right. A lot of us are listening to podcasts in background now, and we're missing half of it, and suddenly something pops, and you realize you just missed something. And that set of habits becomes a series of expectations that we're now bringing into video. Yeah. Anything else? Any other questions?
Was your media directed to different groups in your second case study? Because the pregnancy one, which was the one that did the best, was it? Did you have different targets for the different messages, or?
I believe so. I can get back to you on that. I'm not totally sure exactly who we targeted, but we did choose the pregnancy as a concept in and of its own self, because the other two were just kind of general. But we did a lot of research that. Our paid search, I don't know this language, but all the keywords or whatever, people were searching for pregnancy and looking for information about pregnancy. So we thought it was enough out there that it was worth making an entire concept about that. So I'm not 100% sure if we targeted, pregnant ladies, but I could look into that for sure.
So it could be that the message was more effective because it was targeted to a specific subgroup versus the others.
Absolutely.
But, I mean, you could hear the reaction in the room to that last one was sort of confirmed what its creative power.
Right.
Is that it was striking a level of familiarity, especially with women, that none of these others would have.
And hopefully it would trigger, well, look at all this stuff. It's not covered for pregnancy.
Right.
Maybe I should look into this for me, too, even if it doesn't apply.
Alyssa, thank you very
Thank
much.
you so
That was so
much.
much fun.